everybody, today I am in downtown Indianapolis, really just a little bit on the south side of Indianapolis, on the corner of Madison and almost South Street. So I'm pretty close to Lucas Oil Stadium and all that South Street has to offer. And we're gonna talk about this neighborhood in particular and just what you might find here and what the attractions are, of course, and then what it might be like to live in this particular area too. We're talking specifically about the Old Southside. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis or any of the surrounding areas, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about different neighborhoods in Indianapolis, what it's like to live in some of those different neighborhoods or any of the surrounding suburbs, what might be the best fit for them, their family. Any questions regarding any of those things, then make sure you reach out to us any ways you know how. You can call or text, email, whatever you're most comfortable with. We'll always be happy to answer those questions for you, and we'll always have your back whenever it comes time for you to make your move to Indy. So again, today I'm downtown Indianapolis, and actually I'm standing right here, like I said, on the corner of Madison and just about South Street. South Street is actually just to the north of where I am right now. And this is probably something that a lot of people don't know, or maybe not even think of really, but there are a lot of different neighborhoods in Indianapolis. You know, a ton of them out there, just like there are in any big city. And the Old South Side is one of those neighborhoods, of course. And you can live in the Old South Side, but truly it's not one of the bigger neighborhoods in Indianapolis. In fact, the Old South Side is incredibly industrial. So it has all kinds of really, really big places and some big companies, like the one that's pretty close to you right here on Henry Street, just right behind me. You can see maybe up on the sign, but it's Rolls-Royce. And so Rolls-Royce, they manufacture turbine engines, huge turbine engines for aircraft like helicopters, things like that. Anyway, that's located right down here in the Old South Side. But then you also have, right behind it, you can see up there is Lucas Oil Stadium. So while you can live in the Old South Side, probably not the most populated neighborhood in Indianapolis, but it's very likely, I don't know if these stats are absolutely true or not, but it makes some sense that it might be the most visited neighborhood in Indianapolis with all the different businesses that we have here, people coming in and out of that. Then also, of course, going to Lucas Oil Stadium. So when you're talking every single football game that goes on there, or concert that happens there, or huge event like the NCAA Final Four, basketball games, all the different people coming in and out of this particular neighborhood is pretty astounding. So I don't think any of the other neighborhoods around Indianapolis are gonna have visitors coming to the neighborhood as often as this one would. But it is, for the most part, very, very industrial, like I said. And the northern border of it is really South Street, which is just to the north of where I'm standing. You can actually see downtown in the background, and it's a super short walk up to Monument Circle from here. But South Street actually has a tremendous amount of stuff right along, and South Street moves east-west, even though it's kind of goofy with the name. It's just south of Monument Circle, but going east-west, you've got a lot of different things. You've got, of course, the Lucas Oil Stadium, which is the biggest draw for the Old South Side, and South Street. It's right there. Go up here to South Street, take a left, boom, you'll see Lucas Oil Stadium pretty easily. On your way over there, you've got the Slickernoodle Inn, which is Indiana's oldest bar and super, super famous, super popular place to go for live music, food, drinks, of course. But then if you take a right, you can go down to the Ursay YMCA, you can get to the Alexandra Hotel, and a number of different restaurants and places to visit right there along South Street. But across that way, it's really no longer the Old South Side. Madison Avenue, which I'm standing on right here, is kind of that eastern border, and you can see Ellison Brewing right behind me, which is kind of considered for the most part in the Old South Side. But for the most part, most of the Old South Side is that way to the west and south. Now when you go that way, it's pretty much bordered to the west by the White River. And when I say it's industrial, I mean it is very, very industrial. The Old South Side, it's not really the prettiest neighborhood that you're gonna find in Indianapolis. That whole stretch along the White River on the west side, it's kind of dirty, it's and we're talking mega industrial. If you're driving west, especially on I-70 out towards the airport, you can look to the south and see the White River and then kind of see all the different businesses and the industrial complexes that it has on that particular side. But if you go to the south of here and along Madison Avenue and just a little bit to the west of it, all the way down for the most part, Old Southside to Raymond Street, that's kind of the southern border of it, although it's a little bit fuzzy and not the definitive border there for the Old Southside. That's where you can get into the more residential parts of the Old Southside. And you can definitely get into homes there. It's one of the places in the city that is still fairly close to all of what I'm standing close to right now. So short drive, maybe a bike ride, something like that. From that residential area up to this direction, you can get in there under 300,000, but the Old Southside, just kind of like the name suggests, it's really pretty old. So once you get into that neighborhood, you're going to see a lot of very old homes. We're talking turn of the century homes and a lot of homes that they need a lot of work. Now you can find scattered within the Old Southside some very renovated places or even some brand new places. There's a neighborhood that is on the rise right next to the Old Southside, and that's Bates Hendricks, just to the east. And if you watch HGTV, there's a show called Good Bones on there, where these two ladies that live here started a company called Two Chicks and a Hammer, and they have their own HGTV show, Good Bones, and a lot of their projects happen there in Bates Hendricks. Now, Bates Hendricks is still a neighborhood that needs a lot of work. It's still very old and has some really rough spots. And the Old Southside is probably a little bit behind that. So it definitely has some exceptionally rough spots in the Old Southside, but you can find sprinkled in some of those places that have been renovated or torn down and built from new. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the area that I'm at right now, which is, like I said, right in front of Rolls Royce. Sleepy Noodle Inn's right behind me, downtown, wholesale district and all that. Just to the north of me, got Lucas Oil Stadium here right behind me, and head down south into the Old Southside a little bit, just to get a sense of what the residential portion actually looks like and see what you might get there. So we're south of that whole industrial area and actually a little bit to the east of the White River, and where it's super industrial here on the Old Southside. And I'm walking down Talbot Street, and you can still see the Salesforce Tower, which is the biggest building in downtown Indy, right there behind me. And also behind me, we've got a new build, at least in the last few years, home, and then a blank lot right here, and then another new build home just right here behind me on this side too, just to the south of this other one. And along this entire street, you can find, for the most part, homes that are a little bit on the rough side. You know, even the one right here behind me, that one looked to be kind of abandoned. So walking down the street, you've got some kind of middle of the range homes that might need a lot of work, but of course they're still livable. And then spotted in and out here and there, you do get some homes just like the ones behind me, which are really quite nice and obviously brand new, so a really pretty nice home. So the Old Southside, it might not be the most popular, it might not be the most populated neighborhood you're gonna find at Indianapolis, but it's certainly a place that has a lot of people and a lot going on. And most of the time when people come to the Old Southside, to a place like Lucas Oil Stadium, they don't really realize they're in this neighborhood for the most part, and that it's possible that you could live in this area and be close to those things that downtown has to offer. Also really close by, you've got one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the entire world, in Eli Lilly. Honestly, it's, from where I'm standing right now, it's easily bikeable and for the most part walkable too, just off to the northeast. So just to the east of that as well, you've got the Bates Hendricks, you've got Fountain Square and Fletcher Place, which are super popular neighborhoods. Fountain Square and Fletcher Place, without doubt, just for all the shops, the restaurants, the bars, the entertainment that they have, and the theater that they have too, the arts. So very popular. And this is a place that, you know, you could get into, certainly for the most part, quite a bit cheaper than you could in those other areas. So it's an option for sure, but if you have any questions at all about the Old Southside, what it has to offer, even if it's not necessarily a place that you're thinking, yeah, I might want to live there, because it's a little bit on the edge of maybe a good investment right now, but you look at a place like Fountain Square, which 20 years ago you would have said exactly the same thing, that you'd be crazy to buy something in Fountain Square, but now at this point, prices there are easily easily some of the higher ones that you're gonna find in, for the most part, in all of Indianapolis as a whole for a neighborhood. So the Old Southside is definitely behind that, but its location is at least promising, but it may not necessarily be, of course, for everybody taking that kind of risk. But if you have questions at all about the Old Southside or anything inside of it or anywhere near it, then don't hesitate to reach out. Anyways, you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.